are back. TrueFrequencyRadio.com is the website. And before we go to Freeman, I'd like to bring on Chris Cowan of Polygraph Radio, who was there witnessing everything that happened yesterday in New York. Chris, do we have you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent, man. Thank you for joining us last minute. Just tell us real quick, I know that you've gone on a lot of different shows and talked about this, but I wanted to get this on our record as well. What exactly happened yesterday?
Sure, guys. Good to be with you. We were out shooting the music video all day and just kind of running around the city getting outtakes. And a friend of ours called, a mutual friend called, who was just shopping down in Midtown and said, hey, there's UFOs above the Empire State Building. And of course, at first we're like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he's like, no, seriously, there's these glowing orbs, blah blah. So we went around and down on 34th Street between 9th and 10th on the west side, and tried to see what he was talking about. We looked up, we didn't see anything that was blatantly obvious at first. And so we said, what the heck, let's go back up to the 10th floor of our building and take a look at the fire escape. And once we got up there, sure enough, it took a second. We had to kind of scan the skies because it wasn't like the mothership was up there or anything. It was just these very small sort of glowing metallic orbs. I guess that's really the only way I can describe it, for lack of a better word. But just let me just say from the start. That anybody who says that these things were balloons is confused, didn't see them, wasn't there, or was looking at something else, because they were not balloons. I don't care what anybody says. I worked on A6 intruders in the Marine Corps. I was in the 2nd Marine Air Wing, doing A224, and I was a student pilot, so I have a pretty good bead on this sort of thing. These things were about, I would say, anywhere between 40 and 50,000 feet, because there's a lot of air traffic over New York City. And so we had plenty of aircraft to use as reference. Okay, and most of these planes are just taking off out of LaGuardia and JFK. So they're around, 4, 5, 6,000 feet. And these things were well underneath whatever these objects were. Several of the objects, at first we saw a grouping of the objects, and there were maybe, at first I saw 5. People saw more than 5, the people who called us. And they were appearing and disappearing spontaneously. But by the way, there was no cloud cover at all. It was a clear blue sky. And these things were appearing and disappearing spontaneously. You would get one of the orbs. It would stay completely stationary for a period of, 10 to 15 minutes, while others drifted away from those stationary objects. They were not. I'm getting some feedback now, Chris, for some reason. Okay, I'm good now. Anyways, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, you're not feedbacking at all. No echoes, nothing like that.
Okay. And so, we watched this. This went on for about 45 minutes, and at times, all 5 would completely disappear, and then one would just appear in the sky, just like I said, spontaneously. And for a while, it seemed that these things were appearing, traveling southeast, out into the ocean, out beyond the South Street seaport. And way out, and then another one would appear, and then it would float out and disappear, and another one would appear, almost at an interval. And then we noticed that there was a lot more air traffic. There were several helicopters, and I don't know, I can't say they were up there, checking these things out, because it was around rush hour, so they could have been, traffic helicopters or whatever. Mm-hmm. But towards the end of the whole event, 3 of these objects appeared and went due west, completely perpendicular to the way the other objects had been traveling previously, in sort of a formation, and traveling at a much higher rate of speed. And they traveled right over our apartment building and, out over the river. So, there's no way, and it's funny because I did a Google search when I got back to the studio, and I saw this, I saw the strings of the balloons. Get the heck out of here. You didn't see nobody saw the strings of the balloons. That's just outrageous, And I'm not going to say they're aliens. It's like, it's like I said, I don't really believe in aliens on Earth. I mean, to me, even if one of those things landed on the ground and a little green man walked out, I would still suspect the government,
Well, you've learned.
So, and so this was the experience that we had, and it was witnessed by thousands of people, and all I can say is that these things were not balloons. I don't know what they were. I don't know if they were, all they were is sort of the basal definition of a UFO.
Let me ask you this, Chris. Oh, let me ask you this. Did you, I know we talked with you last night, and getting back to what I was saying in the intro about why my belief changed from the first hype, the first phone calls, to actually looking at it, was, of course, the mainstream article that they put up, because I experienced something similar July 4th in the Ozarks. But what really did it was watching the Earth Cam while we were on the line with you last night and watching these things. There is no way, okay, let's say we can, pull off a balloon hoax during the day. Maybe. But not at night with the bright lights that are going zigzag and coming into frame and then disappearing out of view and, coming together and separating. I mean, it's, they definitely weren't planes. They definitely weren't balloons. Did you see any of the activity at night?
Yeah, we did see a couple of lights at night, and last night, the thing is, because it's kind of hard to see the forest from the trees, as it were, because when you're right downtown in the middle of the city, because I'm right on in Midtown Manhattan.
Okay.
And,
so with all the lights.
And with all the lights, plus you're smushed between these high-rise buildings, so your field of view is limited. And that's where I was. That's where I was at nighttime. I was downtown getting a bite to eat, and I did see a couple of these lights. These, they didn't, no blinking lights. Nothing that would indicate that it was like a commercial aircraft or anything like that.
Amazing. Chris, I hate to cut you off, but I got a message from Jim. He was going to cancel at first, but we got him for the next 20 minutes. So let me let you go. We really appreciate it. Polygraphradio.com is your website, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. If it wasn't for Jim fitting us into a schedule, then I wouldn't let you go so quickly, but I really appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, man.
Great, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to go straight to Jim Mars so we can bring him on for about 20 minutes. He's been a gentleman rather than canceling on us. He decided to do a little 20 minutes. Hey, Jim, how are you doing? It's Chris with Truth Frequency.
Yeah, hey, Chris.
Thank you for joining us, especially with everything that's going on. We just have record numbers tonight. So I know you took a look at all these events in New York yesterday. What exactly is your take on it? Do you think this is a blue beam? Do you think this is a psyop, or is this something real?
Well, it's hard to say, and of course it's going to continue to be hard to say. Because, number one, anyone who's actually studied material realizes that there is a reality to UFOs. There is something up there. There is something flying around now. Exactly who are they, where they come from, that's debatable. But there is something going on, and it's not us. However, by the same token, it's pretty clear that deep within the bowels of the national security state, there are all kinds of technologies that they have and that they're using, HARP, scalar technology, things like that, even holograms. And so it's really tough to say whether it's them or us, but I will say this. If it's them, it's nothing new. Anyone who's studied the literature knows that reports of things flying in the air go, all the way back to biblical times. Think Ezekiel and the fiery wheel in the sky. Hello. And they haven't overtly done anything to us harmful, at least that we know of. So I don't think if it's them, I don't think there's any reason to panic or get too terribly upset. This is something that's been known within the bowels of the government since at least 1947. And if you'll think about 1947 technology, that's pretty obsolete now. And if they were going to attack us, you'd think they would attack then when all they had to face was machine guns and propeller-driven airplanes. And, of course, now we have laser technology and space platforms and all kinds of things. So I don't think any imminent attack is in the cards. But by the same token, I also happen to know that within the government files are contingency plans and scenarios that they've set up that was voiced by President Reagan when he got up before the United Nations and said, well, what if there was a threat from space? All the nations would have to band together, and help, protect the planet, I guess. So we have to be careful because what I'm fearful of is that they will use some kind of sighting, whether real or contrived, to say, holy cow, there really are aliens, and they're probably here to eat you. So give me the last of your liberties so that we can protect you. And unfortunately, a good portion, if not the majority of the population, which has been conditioned for the last 60 years to the idea that there's nothing out there, they might panic and say, yeah, sure, take all my liberties. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to be very careful about what's going on and very discerning.
Absolutely, absolutely. One thing that stuck out to me was these were typical white orbs that we've seen over Mexico City and we've seen for years.